Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with a review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 6, Episode 8, I believe it is. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, let's start with Kimmy. We'll get Kimmy and Maurice out of the way first. She is about to start radiation. She said she's anxious, she's nervous, but she is ready to get it started so she can get it over with. So I guess this is usually radiation is around the last chapter of, your cancer journey and you fighting cancer. So good for her. They're talking about her hair and how it's starting to come back in. She said it's growing back in certain places, not everywhere. I was like, that might be welcome. She said that her hair hadn't grown under her arms yet. I was like, that must be actually nice. It would be great if your hair didn't grow back under your arms, on your coochie, on your legs, like keep you from having to shave again. I know a lot of people that have had cancer, when their hair grows back, sometimes the texture is different. And a lot of people, even those that had a lot of hair, a lot of times when they overcome their cancer journey, they don't even care to grow their hair back anymore. It's like not even as important as it used to be. And speaking of that, Kimmy talks about how she's always attached so much of herself to her hair, her identity, her sexual identity, her feeling desirable, her feeling pretty. Like most women, we put a lot of emphasis in our hair, especially when you have nice, long, healthy hair like Kimmy had. So, she's still having to deal with that. That's normal. She also starts talking to him about their sex life and how she feels kind of like, she kind of feels bad that they don't have sex as much as they used to. Now, apparently, Kimmy has a high sex drive, and we know that Maurice is always thinking about sex. I mean, he even told her in this episode. So, the fact that she's been ill, then she, just doesn't have the desire. I mean, I would think that that happens to everybody that gets cancer. I mean, just way more things to think about. And if you don't even feel good emotionally or just physically not feeling good, then yeah, I would think that sex would be like probably the bottom of your list. That can be difficult for a marriage. I'm sure people that have been married and, go through cancer scares, whether or not it's the husband or the wife, I'm sure that it does wreak havoc on the sex life. And, it's good to have a partner that is understanding. So Maurice is just like, I don't really care that much. Like, I want you to be here. But she feels like she has sex with him because she knows that he needs it. And I was just smiling to myself because I really like to hear when Maurice and Kimmy have their conversations, because I feel like these are like conversations that really do happen in marriages, even even taking out the whole cancer part of it. I'm sure many wives can relate to their husband wanting to do it way more than they do, and you just really kind of doing it for them. It sounds worse, of course, when the person that you are having sex with has cancer, and you would think that Maurice would realize that she doesn't have it in her to do, but she's been keeping up her end of the bargain by just still having sex with him because she knows. And I was just like, yeah, you know how it is when with men, like you haven't had sex with them in a long time, it's been a week or two, your cycle been on or something, they got an attitude, they snapping, you just know that all I gotta do is have sex with them and then they gonna be fine. that's a terrible way to think about it, but sometimes that's really what the cure is. Like, you go on and you have your good romp session, and then that next day everybody is good again. Okay, so it does happen. It's unfortunate though that Kimmy, I mean, I'm sure that this happens. I mean, this conversation is realistic. He thought that she was doing it because she wanted to do it. And I'm thinking, like, that has to be just a man turning a blind eye, because I ain't got no hair. I've been throwing up. I got chemo. I got chemicals running all through my damn veins. I'm not sure if I'm going to live or die. Why don't you realize that I don't want to have sex? Like, why don't you? But I don't think that men even They obviously don't think about that, you know. So he was like, I don't want you to be forcing yourself. And she was just like, no, I'm not forcing myself. And he was like, well, I don't want you to be faking it. And she was like, well, it's not really faking it. You know, sometimes when you get into it, sometimes you don't feel like it. But once you get started, then you're like, okay, I'm all right now. But just, you know, just the whole idea of doing the whole foreplay, you know, your whole routine that you do with your partner. Sometimes you just don't feel like any of that. He was like, I thought that you want to do it because, you know, you give me the cues. You know, you come and you get in the bed, you put your leg on me or something. That's usually the cue to, I want to have sex. And she was like, well, no, now that leg on you is the cue to, I just want to cuddle. Like, okay, I'm tired. I don't feel well. It would be nice to have my man hugging me up in this bed. So, you know, they just basically had this conversation. I thought it was really cool that they both could have this conversation without it turning into an argument. You know, they do communicate well. Whether or not Maurice is getting the message, I think that he does. I think sometimes Maurice plays obtuse for the show. I think that he understands that, you know, although in this case, he may not have realized that Kimmy just really didn't feel like it all the time. You know, he probably felt like, oh, you know, this is just my regular wife, you know, still want to do it, still going. And yeah, so yeah, men can sometimes just not know what the fuck is going on. It's just kind of how it goes. Later on, we see Kimmy, she meets out with her friend. Was her friend named Andrea? And she started in real estate as well. So she's just telling Kimmy about what she's been doing. She's been pretty busy with that, with the architects and everything, just learning about the business. Kimmy said that, yeah, she's been pretty busy as well. You know, of course, her health comes first. So she's been working on that. Radiation is coming up. So, you know, she's telling her all about what she has coming. And then she tells her about her low sex drive. And her friend was like, no, I never thought that. And I was like, Kimmy, you must have been swinging from the damn, like, I guess Kimmy was that one friend that, you know, you got that one friend that just always want to fuck. So I was just like, maybe that was who Kimmy was. And the friend just could not believe that now that Kimmy, you know, is not feeling well, she's going through this, you know, that her sex drive would have been affected. And she was just like, yeah, it's like, actually non-existent. Like, I really could just go to sleep. Okay. I was like, well, what's our excuse for those who don't have cancer? Shit. I feel like most of us can really just go to sleep, you know. Shit, I gotta go to work in the morning. So her friend was just like, so what does Maurice think about it? And she was just like, well, Maurice is now saying that he's just going to wait. He's not going to try to have sex with me. He's going to let me initiate. And I was like, you know, Kimmy was like, I was like, yeah, don't do that. Because if you wait for me to initiate, we ain't doing it. So she starts telling her friend about, you know, how she will go on and have sex with him because she knows that he needs it and all. But she really don't be feeling like it. And, you know, Kimmy is just telling her, like, I don't even feel desirable. Like, I don't feel sexy. I'm not feeling good. And the girl, her friend was like, yeah, men don't always get that. Men look at you, and we know that for a fact, because sometimes I just be thinking to myself, like, now I ain't got my wig on, I ain't got my lashes on, I got my hair tied up, okay? You can see all the cornrows, gray hair. I picked up a few pounds so I can be self-conscious a little bit about my pouch, or, you know, maybe my legs are a little bit more jiggly or something, and they don't care. Mr. ain't even seen none of that. None. Baby, don't let the scarf come off in the middle of the session, child. You can't even halfway concentrate. They don't care. They just rubbing your head, you know, your frizzy ass gray cornrows. And just like, baby, I love you. All this, you know. And so, you know, it's good to have a man, or, you know, it's good to have a partner that still desires you, even when you aren't feeling like that. But, you know, you do need them to realize when you truly, really, I mean, cancer is a real thing. It's not just, I don't feel like it. You know, she has a lot of things going on in her body that she's just not even feeling up to any of it, you know? So yeah, Maurice and Kimmy going through some challenges. I think all of that is probably normal. You know, my rock stars, have you been through this thing, you know, with cancer and with your partner and all, you guys are welcome to share. But yeah, I do enjoy their conversations, Maurice and Kimmy's. Kimmy just expresses herself well. Maurice usually takes to it well. There doesn't, you know, it don't turn into anything else. Her friend was even like, it's good that you guys talked about it. But yes, very shocked that Kimmy, you know, doesn't want to have sex anymore. I was like, Kimmy, you must have been a wild girl. All right, you guys, now let's jump over to the Scotts. So Marceau and Letitia are moving. We see them packing. Did she say that they were moving into an apartment? I'm not really clear what's going on. I feel like that this is probably their third time that they've moved since they've been on the show. They've been trying to build this dream home. I was like, oh, did Scott Manor get finished? Nope, Scott Manor ain't finished. They say it won't be ready until 2024. So I guess they're moving to somewhere else because I guess they hadn't planned on being in this place. I don't know, child. But anyway, she says that they're moving. I thought I heard something about an apartment. I was like, oh my God, you guys got them kids and y'all in an apartment. I mean, they got big apartments, but still. So yeah, many sacrifices right now. Anyways, Marceau was like, Letitia, why you didn't tell me that Tiffany was crazy? And she was just like, what? You like, what do you mean? He was just like, so me and Martell was talking to her. You know, she had came down to Black because her and Martell were meeting to talk about Selma or whatever. But we all know that Martell called her down there because he wanted to talk to her about what happened with Sheree. Marceau starts to tell Letitia how their conversation went, how Tiffany had asked Sheree, how does it feel to be with a cheater, you know, and asking her all these questions. And he was just like, you know, and Tiffany was, I mean, Tisha was just like, how can she ask these questions? She don't even know Sheree. And Marceau was just like, yeah, Tiffany ain't wrapped too tight. For real, the things that she say is not what normal people would say. He feels like she's a habitual line stepper. Well, I don't know why anybody is feeling surprised about this. This is the same Tiffany that we got last season, just turned up even more. So she's not doing anything different. Than the only thing that's different is she is way more unapologetic in the way that she's doing things, you know. So yeah, is Tiffany messy? Absolutely so. Then he tells her how she asked Sheree, did she think that her pussy was good enough to keep Martell? And they were, you know, Tisha was just like, I cannot believe she said that. Did she really say that? Yes. Like, who says these things with those words? Like, those are the words that she used. I'm not just making up. So yeah, Marceau is just like, yeah, that Tiffany is something else. And apparently Tiffany must have told him, you know, that she was asking all these questions because she's a lover of blended families. So anyway, Marceau said, you know, I asked her, like, okay, so you're asking these questions of her. What was you going to do with the information? See, that's the key word here. You want to know all of this. Why? Just for your own personal satisfaction? That's called being nosy. You know, and I don't have to provide no answers to your nosiness. He asked her if she was a Karen, you know. And then, of course, you know, I guess she got offended about that, her being mixed race or whatever. Okay, well, you could have some Karen tendencies. Hell, I know people that's blackity black and still got Karen tendencies, okay? She had the nerve to get offended by that. I said, girl, you offended by that, but you done said all kind of other stuff. Child, please. So Letitia was just like, you know, Tiffany says these things because she's pretty. You know, she thinks that she has, you know, like pretty privilege. You are able to say more things than, I guess, an ugly person would. I think that Tiffany just shocks people. People aren't expecting Tiffany to come at, you know, them the way that she does. So people just don't even know how to react. I also know that Tiffany, they probably told Tiffany to stir the pot, you know, to go there. Let's make this season exciting. Also, I know that Tiffany knows that she's pregnant. So people are going to be gingerly. People are going to, you know, give her some grace and all of that. So all that is playing into this. Yeah, pretty privilege as well, but I think it's more reasons why Tiffany is acting the way that she is. So, while Marceau is sitting there telling Letitia everything, she's just like, this is a whole lot. Like, you were telling me a whole lot. And he was like, well, I mean, this is what she was saying. She is a whole lot. She was just like, how am I supposed to hold all this in? The damn baby shower is coming up. I was like, Letitia, you don't want to hold none of this in. You can't wait to get to that baby shower to sit and talk and gossip with the rest of the people there. Stop it. Now, speaking of Tiffany, we see Tiffany. She gets home. And I'm assuming that she's just getting back from Black, and having her conversation with Martell and Marceau. So she goes up to Louis. And Tiffany is the epitome of a woman who will get her man fucked up in real life. Okay? The way that she went back and cried wolf to Lou and told him, that Martell and Marceau basically attacked her, basically ambushed her, that she thought she was going there to talk about Selma, and then they start talking to her about, the things that she said to Sheree, And so, of course, Louis is upset about this. Nobody can talk to his wife, okay? And so then so he was like, so what did you say? Well, I had asked Sheree, how does it feel to be a cheater? He was just like, you asked him that? Now, when he did that, he should have known that his wife was tripping, okay? That's a rude-ass question, right? Oh, yeah, I asked her because I just wanted to know, and he was just like, oh, okay. And then it smoothed over just that quickly. I was just like, Louis, now your fucking wife is messy. You sitting up here listening to her gas you up about what Marceau and Martell did, not paying attention to the rude-ass things that she was saying to Sheree. And you didn't think that anybody was going to have a response to her. Give a fuck if she's a woman. They did not do nothing to her. That girl didn't feel threatened. She didn't feel like nothing was going to happen to her. They wasn't arguing and yelling in her face or anything like that. But that's the way that she portrayed it to Louis. And of course, he's going to get mad that they're supposedly yelling at her and all that. But that's not really what happened. So that's why I said Tiffany would get Louis fucked up in real life, because he'd go looking for these niggas that said something to his wife, and then he'd have found out the hard way that your wife is tripping, and nigga, you better get out my face. She was like, they called me a Karen. He was like, they did. Like Karen is some of the worst things to say about somebody. I mean, I could think of plenty other, way more insulting things to say. But they called me a Karen. And Martell and Marceau asked me what was wrong with me. And he was like, and they said this to you? Yes, they said it to her. And what, Louis? They're talking. He can't understand why it take two men to come at one woman. Well, really, Marceau was just there because he was there. But really, it was Martell and Tiffany. Marceau was adding his words whenever he felt like it. But I was just listening to this conversation, and I was like, so when he was like, that's okay, don't worry about it. I'm gonna check him. Oh, you know me. I don't play about my family. I don't play about my wife. And as soon as I see him, I was like, as soon as you see him, you're gonna get fucked up. Okay? No, I'm sorry. This is a reality show. He won't get fucked up, but he would have. He said that the whole situation with Sheree was minute. I just wonder how Louis would have handled this if everything was reversed. If Tiffany was his new woman and some other woman came up to him and was asking her all these rude ass questions, would he have felt like he needed to go and talk to that person's significant others, or would he have tried to handle that with the woman that said something rude? It's always harder when you put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I just wonder how Louis would have felt about it then. But now he said he gonna give it to him. So, okay, Louis, whatever. So, Tiffany's baby shower. Okay, she's excited for the day. She said all her friends family are there. And it promises to be a really nice day, Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have the hiccups. So, the people start coming from the show. So we got Courtney and her husband. We've got Kimmy and Maurice. We've got Nell and Chris Fletcher. We've got Letitia. And Letitia's by herself. Stormy asked where was Marceau. And she was like, I don't think that he coming. Because, he not really feeling Tiffany right now. So as soon as Letitia sits down, It might be the way it was edited, but it looked like as soon as she sits down, she starts talking to Nell about how Mel might feel about, other kids being around. I mean, kids being around Sheree, or how Mel feels about people being around her kids, I should say. She didn't really say Sheree at the time. I think they're trying to figure out, why does that even matter? Like, why is Letitia even asking all these questions? Now, speaking of Mel, Mel is there. And Mel says, I'm bringing good energy to this baby shower. And in defense of Mel, I have got to give it to her this season. Mel is not giving anybody any opportunity to get her riled up. She's not about to be fighting with y'all. She's not to be in any conversations that gets her pulled into any drama or anything. Because when Mel comes to sit down at the table, Letitia is telling them all the things that Marsau had told her that Tiffany had said when they supposedly had ambushed her, And so when Mel sits down, they kind of stop. And Nell was like, oh, so are we going to, stop talking about what we were talking about now that Mel is at the table? And then Letitia was just like, oh, well, you know what? Let's ask Mel. Mel, do you feel uncomfortable if we start talking, or, if we're talking about Martell and what happened at his party the other night? And Mel was just like, well, let me just make it clear. Y'all not going to make me uncomfortable talking about anything. Okay. Except when Letitia tells Mel that Tiffany asked Sheree, how does it feel to be a cheater? And then, did she think her pussy was good enough to keep him in line and keep him there? Did you see Mel's face? Mel's face, first of all, when they first said it, she kind of looked like she wanted to laugh, but she didn't laugh. But she was just sort of looking like, wait, what? Yeah, Tiffany said that, do Sheree think her pussy good enough to keep Martell in line? She was just like, I'm going to go and make me a plate, and then I'll be right back. Mel was like, no. See, I'm not fixing to be in this mess, okay? Whatever Tiffany and Sheree had going on, that has nothing to do with Mel, So I was just like, great. Mel is doing such a great job this season. And, Mel has gotten on my nerves plenty in the past. So I am really glad that she is just like making it a point to stay out of the mess. But it was funny when Tisha had said that she had said the whole pussy comment, Stormy was like, ooh, she didn't tell me that part. And Kimmy was like, I'm positive there was many other ways that she could have said that. Yes. If Tiffany was going for shock and awe, for sure, okay? She wasn't trying to take the diplomatic approach, all right? So her words went over exactly the way that she wanted them to. Now, when Mel got her plate together and she came back and sit down, here comes Stormy, okay? Still continuing on the conversation. She was just like, well, hold on, Mel. Okay, it's more. Do you know Sheree? She was just like, no. She was like, I mean, have you ever met her? And she was just like, well, I mean, I've been around her years ago. Okay, there was a hair show in Birmingham, and they were both there. So she met her there, but she don't really know her. And then Stormy was just like, oh, because Tiffany has said, that like you were a fan. And that same look on Mel's face. She looked like she could have said so many things, but she was just like, her face. Oh, damn, you selling t-shirts. She needed to put that fucking expression on a t-shirt. I just hate the fact that they are really trying to poke Mel and get her riled up. And that's the thing about this show. It's just sort of like we keep on saying we want to move on, but you guys are, the people on the show ain't got the memo, obviously, because they still doing the same shit. I finally told everybody on Twitter, I might as well tell y'all now, this is my last season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I can't do it no more, you guys. I can't. I mean, the only couple I like on the show really is Maurice and Kimmy. Okay? Marsau and Letitia, I can take a leave. Mel is not with Martell no more. I mean, unless they start bringing their new lives onto the show and their new relationships and all, but Mel's not going to do that because Martell is immature and, all of the shit that they go through off camera. So it's just sort of like, why are we still watching this show? I really had high hope for Stormy. Turns out Stormy is just a bone collector and messy too, you know. And that's too bad because I felt like she was a likable enough character on the show that she could have played it differently. And so, you know, I'm kind of disappointed with with Stormy, and I'm done. This is it. This is my last season. Let's hope that DC, and let's hope that Detroit is good. Let's hope that DC comes back. But Huntsville, yes, a wrap on that. Now, anyway, while they're all sitting there at the table talking, then in walks Marceau and Martell. Okay, they look like they had no plans of coming to this thing. It looks like production probably called them as like, no, we need you guys to come, because the way that they came in together and they was kind of looking around, it was just like, y'all ain't here for no damn baby shower, you know. But anyway, they come on in, you know, they go into greeting everybody at the table, going and hugging everybody. You know, Mel is sitting at the table with them. Marceau greets Mel. Of course, Martell doesn't, and Mel doesn't want him to. But Mel was just like, now, y'all want to know what's going to make me be uncomfortable and leave? Is when Martell comes in. Okay? So once again, the invisible church finger, ding, it's up, excuse me. And this is where I exit. Don't blame the girl one bit. Anyways, we know that they are only there to talk to Louis, okay? And so Louis comes up to Marceau. Martell was just like, hey, let me talk to you guys outside for a second. So they get outside, and I was just like, I mean, I'm sure Louis is going to get the, oh, he's protecting his wife points, you know, because you guys love, you know, y'all love to say stuff like that. And, I'm sure Louis has great intentions when it comes to his wife. You know, he say he don't play about her. But him confronting them and was just like, so what happened the other day? And they was like, so, wait a minute, first of all, what did you hear the way you coming at us? Because we ain't did shit wrong. So what did she tell you? Well, she did tell me that she asked you, how does it feel to be with a cheater? And they was like, okay. So yeah, she did say that. But there was way more that she said. Louis' whole thing is he's just upset that the way that she was approached. You got two men coming at her. She's a woman. She's pregnant. Okay, and she shouldn't have said the shit that she was. She was a woman and she was pregnant when she said it. She knew she was saying it, and she knew it was inflammatory. She knew that people was going to be pissed. She thought that she was just going to get away with it. Yes, she did, because she thought that Sheree's not really on this show, and so Sheree has no reason to say anything else to her. And I guess she just thought that I was just like, honey, you thought so wrong if you thought Martell was not going to address it. Martell is so super petty. He is not, ain't no way you was going to get away with that one at all. Louis is going to say, but you know, Sheree is grown. And what that got to do with anything? I'm still offended as a grown-ass woman. You know, he feel like Sheree can fight her own battles. Well, Sheree is not on this show. Okay, so she can't fight this battle. Martell is the one that's going to do it. Then he gets mad because they called her a Karen. You know, and I was just like, Louis, please stop. Please stop. Your wife is going to get you beat up. Okay? That's just really it. The only thing that Louis got for himself is his weight. Otherwise, he going to get his ass beat. He's up here so mad and yelling at them like, if you want to talk to her, you know, you come to me. Come to me. And I just don't know if I feel like that is realistic all the time. Yes, there's some times when we probably would need to talk to the husband first. But in this situation, it didn't work out that way. And I just don't understand that logic. That a man can't talk to a woman without the other, you know, the woman's husband around. Like, I don't understand that. So while he's sitting up here yelling at them about them calling, you know, him calling them her a Karen and all that, I said, you in this displaced anger? Because the whole thing is Louis knew that what Tiffany said was bullshit and that she shouldn't have said it. And really, he shouldn't even be trying to take up for her for the shit that she said. However, that's his wife. He's got to protect her. He's mad. So how do I get off this anger? Well, let me be mad at you, you know, about, you know, you talking in my face. You know, don't do that. He was all up in Martell's face. And I was just like, yeah, you are yelling and mad at the wrong people. Louis was just like, you had a point, but was you right? And Martell was like, yes, I had a point, and yes, I was right. You know, like I said to somebody in my comments last week, because somebody was taking up for Tiffany real hard, and they were like, You know, when other women on this show say things to the men, you know, then the man, you know, that man don't want their wives approached by the other men. I said, there's not a woman on this show would say the shit that Tiffany said to Sheree. None of them wives would have said that to Sheree. Only Tiffany. Okay. And that's exactly what they told him. He was just like, you know, people say things and they were like, nobody would say that shit to Sheree. That's not like a normal conversation that you would have somebody that you just met, you know, and shit was rude. So after he getting all huffed up and shit, and he finally calmed down, you know, he was just like, y'all know me. Y'all know me. You know, if Tiffany is wrong, you know, I'll say that all day. I'm not trying to take up for my wife. Yes, you are. I'm not trying to take up for my wife, you know, but what I'm saying is, come to me. You know, she pregnant, she's female. But then he does apologize to Sheree and to Martell. I said, well, if you was going to apologize, why we went through all this? You should have went out there and been like, hey, listen, I don't really like the fact that you guys talked to my wife, but that shit that she said was foul, so I apologize. Next time, maybe, you know, I could be there so we can all have a conversation together. All this shit that you just did was so not necessary. Oh, and I forgot to add that somewhere in this melee, Maurice came out because they were getting louder. And Maurice was still inside with the rest of the women. And so he went out there to try to calm it down, you know, and try to get some clarification. You know, if Maurice ain't good for anything else, he good for trying to clarify. So, anyway, they kind of squash all of that because it was stupid to begin with. And then when Louis and them go back inside, you know, he sees Tiffany. She's crying over in the corner. He's like, what's wrong with you? Okay. And she's got her hands over her face and she's crying. And he comes down on, you know, she tells him how, you know, she was just feeling dizzy. And she felt like maybe it was contractions at first, but then she kind of bent over. She felt like she was seeing stars, you know, maybe they could turn out the lights, you know. And I was like, is she in labor? Like, what's going on? I'm not sure if she's just got over emotional about what was going on outside, or she was having some Braxton Hicks contracts and contractions and thought that she was going into labor, like false labor. I don't know what was going on, or was she feeling bad so she needed to, you know, make somebody feel sorry for her, so then I don't know what was going on, but Tiffany was having her own little breakdown over there, and Louis is trying to fix whatever the problem is with his wife. But yeah, you guys, I'm over it. It's hot in this car. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of it. I'm just tired of it. And so we gonna let season 6 be our swan song. It's gonna close it on out. It's a wrap, like the choir directors used to say. Cut it right there. This is it for me. All right, you guys. Let me get on off of here. I'm going to get this edited and up to you. Make sure that you thumbs up this video, comment, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, rock stars. Bye.